legend, Bravo. Legends, they don't give up.
Buenos dias, Mateo. You have an answer for me?
The offer is very generous, senor, but I cannot accept.
Turn over your ranch. My men will be back at dawn for your answer.
My husband sent you that note. I need protection.
I suggest you just give him what he wants.
Mr. Bravo.
El Abuelo sends his regards.
Welcome back. I prefer Enchantress. You need a new crew.
There's nobody alive crazy enough to stand up to Abuelo.
Alive? Here we go. Only human blood can harness the sun's power and channel it down to the earth.
That's it? No special words?
Ouch.
I'm back!
Yep, dead as disco.
Let's finish this. You told me to get some help. This is what I got. Save this lady's farm. Job's done.
Time to do God's work, brother. Whatever the hell that means.
He has a new posse.
How many?
700? Total.
Kill him.
I'll take care of this. I swear. Hey! Come on!
Heather Hurt.
Yes. Hi.
Is that your real last name?
It's my married name. Yeah.
It's a good one. For
Thanks. My husband's John Hurt.
what?
And so, speaking of small town Texas, his father before him is John Hurt too. So we got all this fun stuff.
All right. Cool.
Hi, my name is Heather Hurt with the NRW Where Nerds Rule the World. I'm here with John Gulager, who is the co-writer and director of Seven CEMETERIES, featuring the one and only Danny Trejo. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm just hoping some of these reflections leave our wonderful face here, but I think they're bound to like just stay there, I guess, through this.
That's all right. That's okay. We'll get the poster up. It's a really fun poster. It really doesn't do.
Yes, but I have the unsmiling version.
Oh, the real Danny Trejo, right?
Yes. He actually is a pretty fun guy. But he can put on the face when he needs it.
He's got the realism to him too. He's been there and he's done that.
Oh, he's been there. He's been in several prisons. He's when he was young, he was an arch criminal. I mean, he was hardcore. But he has so changed his life around. It's great. I read his book.
And now he makes the most delicious taco sauce ever. I my cabinet's stocked full of it. I love it.
I also have his cookbook.
Yes. For the audiences out there, definitely pick up his stuff. It's great. We're getting back to Seven CEMETERIES. It is a very interesting story. There's a little drama, a little Western, a little dash of love, and then a whole lot of crazy personalities mixed in. Where did this story come from?
Okay, so the first idea was just to make a movie with Danny. And then the whole Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, postmodern Western, undead. I think it went through a few iterations, like possibly all the dead were luchadors. Maybe it was all in Spanish, but it ended up the way it is now. And so yeah, so that's basically where it came from. We kind of, the Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven has the same kind of bones to it, where you have this guy who's the leader of that has some kind of facility with violence or weapons or that kind of thing, having to round up his eventual posse, and so that's the first part of the movie, is all that, and that's the same basically from those other movies that's very loosely based on.
Got it. Understood. You can definitely feel it. You definitely got those classic tropes in there. But it's a lot of fun to see, and it's a lot more humorous in this version.
Yeah. Well, and tropes. I love the trope of guy gets out of prison, and then has to go do his thing. And like one of the lenses we used on this was from a movie called The Getaway, where Steve McQueen gets out of prison and then he does a robbery. So I like that kind of thing too, even though, basically we only have a hallway to deal with, but in jail, but we make the most of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it is a very, very fun film. One of the aspects that really stuck out though, and though y'all didn't get to truly deep dive into it, was indigenous lore and how that impacts who you are and how you live in a way. Why was that such an important element for this movie? Well,
from the get-go, I think we were going to do, basically Mexican background, for the whole thing, and like the Bruja. My wife is Mexican American. She's from East LA. Like her birth certificate actually says born in East LA, just like the song. So I've been around all this for quite a while. My friend puts on a thing called Lucha Baboom, which is luchadors and burlesque dancers, show. I definitely wanted the luchador in there and the girl, and I wanted to kind of a little weird love story, although it's a little creepy, but actually they do kind of get together, and it's kind of a buddy movie, but as far as there was a period where I wanted it all in Spanish and we shoot it in Mexico, but that wasn't really possible, and so it became what it is. But I think we always wanted the Latin influence and just characters, the Bruja, the Miguel, Efren, Ramirez, but we mixed in, it's not all Latin.
No, absolutely.
But they don't always get along because of that too, so.
And you do see a lot of the different personalities, and with a lot of Western film, especially, you don't see the wide variety of who the Latinas are, or the Latinx people are. It was really fun to watch a whole slew of different personalities.
Yeah. It's gonna be playing in some sort of Spanish language theaters in Texas and I think in Arizona. I'm not sure, but so that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. So small town. I'll send this to my family. They'll know. A lot of them are in small town South Texas. So
well, it's a theater chain called Americana, I believe. I was thinking road trip, but never know.
All right. Well, y'all heard it. That's where y'all go. So y'all are looking at this from a slightly older perspective. Danny Trejo's character is older. The antagonist is older. Why come from this age angle versus, the young action guy? Yeah.
Well, we have a few young guys in there. Efren, I love him. He's great. He played Miguel. But I love Machete. I love Rodriguez. I love everything they did. But I think we wanted to do something that was just, kind of almost not the anti-Machete per se, but just like Machete when he got sort of like tired, but he's got to do it again, because he's got to help people and all this kind of thing. And he pulls it together and he finds, what he needs to, to basically try to save the day. Now it doesn't work out for everybody, but not everybody's on board at first, but yeah. And it's a past rivalry between Danny's character and Sal Lopez, who I think is really great in this. He plays, El Abuelo. But I think if the bad guy can say some of the types of lines they have to say and have it be believable and good, then they're really great actors. So yeah, I loved him. So yeah.
And it was a lot of fun watching you kind of root for the bad guy when he's a little bit sick, it's just, you're like, oh, I kind of hope something good happens.
And see, all these guys could be bad guys at some point, but it becomes kind of a little bit more of not a buddy movie per se, but a pulling together movie, and that eventually whether it's making the ultimate sacrifice or not, I don't know, but so it gets a little schmaltzy, which I thought we kind of needed actually. But I don't think we give up to on kind of a more hardcore approach to the same time. So
yes. To speaking of slightly not jumping into the hardcore, zombies. You don't have zombies in this movie. And it's not really the undead. You kind of borderline somewhere in between. Where did that concept of your undead come from?
Okay, so I call them the living impaired. But basically we just wanted them to be just like normal guys. They just like, I believe one of them goes, well, I know who, but I don't want to give it all away. Like, I was dead. They're not really part of that whole, that they were dead. I mean, I don't know what was happening when they were dead. I have a feeling it was just like nothing. And they haven't been totally eaten by the worms yet. Because I think the idea is that they're each one of them hasn't been dead for a long time. So, but when they come back, they're just like, they have problems, because of their decay, but I think we wanted them to just be like normal people, guys and gals, just, they just happen to have been dead.
Perfect.
And they're leaking, they're doing all kinds of stuff, but yeah. They're not, like, or anything like that, and they're not insanely crazed. They're just like you and me, but they were dead and they're falling apart.
Well, speaking
Stay out of the sun.
It's true. Or is it a crispy? The word crispy, I think, was thrown around. Miguel, I just want to say that.
I mean, they have a lot of feeling, but they don't have a lot of feeling. So,
speaking of you and me, Miguel is nothing like me. He has those one-liners on point. Who was the one that came up with all those fun one-liners? Did he ever tag in?
Probably. He's really smart. So Efren, I said, "Are you Efren or Efren?" He goes, "It doesn't matter. My dad calls me Efren. My mom calls me Efren." So sometimes I call him one or the other. I don't know, but he's pretty funny. Joel wrote most of the lines that he said, but Efren, he has a notebook that he carries around with him for the whole shoot. And like when he was drawing the little pictures, I don't know if you remember that, when Danny's first in the Brujas, that that was all him. He said, "Oh, I can draw some pictures," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great. We'll shoot that." And but he's constantly, even though he's playing, we don't always call him zombies, but he's playing a zombie. He tries to go deeper, and he's like, "Oh, John, well, what about if this happened or that?" So half of them you can't do, but the other half, they're cool. In fact, he saw an early version of the movie when I had the music too loud, and he's all bummed because you couldn't hear all the one-liners. I mean, it's all fixed, but he was like, "Oh, John, what's happening?" I go, "It's gonna be fixed." Don't worry.
Well, you definitely hear them. They're good. Promise, Efren, they were good. We can hear them now.
But the we had a girl working on the film. She was doing a thing called conforming, which is where she takes all the different footage and gets it all in line, for editing and stuff like this. And there's something that happens to one of the characters in the film, and she's like, "Oh, John, he deserves so much better." And you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's two, but I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about. Things definitely don't go his way. I'm going to say that.
It's a grind.
Jokes, all the jokes. The practical effects. Miguel actually has a really fun practical effect at the end, or CGI effect. Actually, what are some of your favorite elements to this movie?
Well, it's both because of well, I guess I can't.
I'm not giving away too much. I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, but it's a combination of physical and digital. The thing at the end. There's actually but a guy named Tate, did the effects and the special effects, not the visual effects, where it's like leaking, exploding things. He does mostly really heavy duty crime movies like Dragged Across Concrete and things like that. But he came on and he did this. And it was pretty neat. He helped. He designed all the little things of the zombies and everybody had how much they were going to do of each thing. Like some people just did it all, and some people would do half of it and stuff. So it gave everybody a slightly different look by accident. So that was good.
Accident, all right. You definitely have a wide range of like how degraded somebody is. And that's interesting. I was going to ask about the makeup. How much makeup and work was done on these characters?
Oh yeah, it's not like the Penguin, no. Where you're in a chair for 4 hours or something like that, which was incredible. But they had to get there early, and they had to get all this stuff put on them, and then they had to have this gunk on them for the whole day, and sometimes it's the weather's pretty crazy in Oklahoma. Mostly the wind. It's just wind, like I don't know.
Over the plains.
You've never been there if you haven't been on the plains, and stuff. I mean, it's just like straight out of that musical. They weren't kidding, but it's just it's pretty neat. A lot of stuff blowing around, and nothing the same, from minute to minute.
And speaking of time, technically within the film, only about 24-ish hours rolls through. Yep. How long does it take to do a film like this in that time? For that period, I guess I should say.
Oh, well, usually because of a budget, you're limited to how much time you can spend on it, and you'll just spend everything you can every moment you can, whether it's a film that takes. I watched a film last night, Saturday night, that takes place in 90 minutes, but they didn't shoot it in 90 minutes. They probably shot it in a month or more, but it was pretty good. It's a nonstop comedy movie. But yeah, the next thing I'm going to work on is, again, just takes place over like about 4 or 5 hours, but it takes a long time to make a film. Well, depending on the type of film, there's a few films that are just incredible where they just shoot it from beginning to end, and that becomes the style of the movie. They'll try to shoot it 3 times, and hopefully one of them works. And there's a German film I saw that was just like that. It was just like, wow, that's crazy. But then but they're rehearsing it for months leading up to that one shot. So it kind of still balances out. It's a lot of work to make a film. It's a lot of people involved, a lot of camera crew, a lot of effects people, a lot of art department, making tombstones or whatever, that everything that's involved in the film, doesn't just, appear. You literally just make everything. Yeah.
So my last big question for you then is, let's go off of that. Not giving away any spoilers or what happens or who survives and who doesn't.
I want to give away spoilers because there's so many like cool things, and I just can't. But everything I would say would just give away all kinds of stuff, including we did go back and reshoot part of an end scene, and I'm so glad we did. But we shot it to be funny at first, and it was just like, oh, this is terrible. And then we reshot it. We were lucky we could do that. And I'll tell you, it's the part where they meet up with like everybody at the very end. They come out of the little hole.
Okay, got it. All right. So once again, very last question, no spoilers. Are you looking at doing a next part?
You mean a sequel to this, or just another movie?
It could be any of the other. A part of this series or this story.
Okay. Well, I guess it depends on how it's received. I did some sequels to a movie earlier called Feast, and no one thought anyone was gonna want a sequel to that. And people did. It kind of found an audience. In those days, we had video stores, and they would put a VHS tape in there, to have a picture of a monster, and people would look around, and they'd run out of other things to see. They would pick that, and it ended up kind of being a big seller for the company that we made it for, and I think it surprised them. I don't know, but so it's always like that. It's if people respond to it, something could happen. If they don't, move on, I guess. We're ready.
All right. Well, crossing fingers. 7 Cemeteries arrives in theaters as well as on demand and on digital on October 11th. Thank you, John, so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.